Guys, we're going to be checking out this video titled Was Macedonia a Greek Dialect? Okay, so a lot of people are asking, is Macedonia a Greek dialect? Was it a Greek dialect? I don't know, okay, but I really want to know. From this video, we will know about it. So let's check this out.
Videos. It was Alexander the Great who brought the Koine or Kini Greek language all around the known world. But Alexander the Great, did he speak Koine natively? Did he speak Attic natively? Wasn't he from Macedonia or Macedon? What was the Macedonian language?
Macedon.
Was it a dialect of ancient Greek? Let's explore that together. I'm Luke, and this is Polymathy. In my last video,
you guys, like from the video I made of the Bible is written with Greeks. Okay, I've stood to myself to be more broad about this, and what I read that any place that Alexander the Great, any country he conquers, he brings the Greek dialects and culture and speakings to that particular culture, to that particular place. So I don't know if Macedonia is one of the country that, Alexander the Great also conquered and bring the Greek speaking language and the culture and the dialects in it. Okay, let's continue.
About the ancient Greek dialects, I didn't mention Macedonian, and there was a reason for that. One of the reasons is that the ancient Greeks themselves weren't sure if they accepted the Macedonian language as a part of the Greek languages, or if they were indeed barbarians.
Okay.
And another problem is that, well, don't we have inscriptions from Macedonia? Well, we do. From ancient Macedonia, we have more than 6,000 pieces of written testimony, but the vast majority of them are in Koine, or in fact, Attic. Attic and Koine are virtually the same. And the reason for this is that already in the 5th and 4th centuries BC, the prestige dialect of Greek was Attic. So the kingdom in the north, the Macedonians, they were bringing in teachers who already spoke Attic, or who were in fact from Athens, to teach Attic Greek to at least the elite, and then eventually, little by little, to everybody. By the later centuries BC, the dialect or the language of Macedon had essentially gone away completely, and it was almost entirely replaced by the classical Attic or Great Attic or Koine. Those are essentially the same thing. So since the native language of the Macedonians wasn't originally Attic, what was it? What did they speak? Was it even Greek? Doubt has been cast on the Greekness of the ancient Macedonians by the likes of Demosthenes, the orator from Athens. Well, there was a reason for that, for him to call Alexander the Great and Philip of Macedon barbaroi, because in that time, the kingdom of Macedon was trying to conquer and dominate all of Greece, including Athens. So Demosthenes wanted to contrast the democracy, the freedom-loving city-state of Athens and other similarly minded city-states with the monarchies of the north. Demosthenes' speeches in favor of democracy in the face of tyranny have been famous for millennia, especially among the founding fathers of the United States, including the great John Adams, who even in this very building here, Independence Hall in Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, often invoked Demosthenes to justify the creation of a new American democracy.
When Demosthenes traveled as ambassador through Greece to excite the Confederacy against the tyrant,
Mr. Adams, you're taking us on a...
he did not go, Mr. President, to propose a non-importation or non-consumption agreement.
I beg your pardon, sir. Pray forgive me for not recognizing the worthy Demosthenes.
And if he declared that Alexander the Great and Philip the Macedon were nothing more than barbaroi, or varvidi in modern Greek, that they were barbarians. Now in ancient Greek this has a very specific meaning. Barbar is meant to be the gibberish of non-Greek speakers, people that Greeks wouldn't understand. It's pretty pejorative. A barbaros is someone who can only say barbar, barbar, but it can't be understood. So by calling the Macedonians barbaroi, the implication is that they are not speakers of the Greek language, whereas people who speak the different classical Greek dialects, like we talked about in that previous video, whether it was Laconic or Doric, in general Peloponnesian Doric, Aeolic, Ionic, or Attic, well, they're all Greeks. They're not barbaroi, they're not barbarians. So by Demosthenes saying that they were definitely barbaroi, it makes us think, well, then they probably didn't speak Greek, or they spoke some Indo-European language that wasn't similar to the other Greek languages. What other ancient testimony is there, though? Well, various poets depict Macedonians speaking in rural, usually non-Attic kinds of dialects. This doesn't tell us much, but it does suggest that they spoke some kind of Greek, even though maybe not all of those poets were consistent in how they depicted the Macedonian speaking, and maybe they were just making fun of them with country bumpkin type accents. Herodotus, for what it's worth, thought that the Macedonians were indeed Greek and that they spoke a language that was among the ancient Greek dialects. Thucydides didn't, though, but Thucydides was probably, like Demosthenes, motivated by the important political differences that were developing between the democracy of Athens and the tyranny of Macedon. The ancient Roman historian Livy said that the Macedonians, the Aetolians, and the Acarnanians were all homines eiusdem linguae, people of the same language. So their dialect or dialects may have been, in fact, very similar. Okay, so they were similar to other ancient Greek dialects, but which ones exactly?
So you guys, just like what he said the Macedonians, they have to get people from the Athens, which is the Athenians, to teach them, like the Athens, to teach them the Greek speaking language. Okay, so this is actually very broad. I don't even know how to explain it, but someone said here on the comment section, someone said a lot of Greeks did not speak the same dialect as the later standardized Koni, okay, common Greeks, driven by Attic dialects, which is why the standardized version was needed and so ended up so popular and widespread. Ancient Macedonians was definitely a version of ancient Greeks. Guys, you guys, I feel like just like what I said, this is broad. This is broad. But from my research, I know that Macedonian is Northern Greeks. Let me know in the comment section. Let's continue.
Well, in the last video, we talked about the classical Greek dialects being generally divided into two groups. East Greek, like Attic Ionic, and West Greek, like Doric, or Northwest Greek. Now, the thing about the term Doric is that it's often used interchangeably with all of the West Greek, and this leads to a lot of confusion. Usually, Doric means Peloponnesian Doric, or Doric proper, the parent dialect, if you will, or the enclosing dialect group that includes Laconic, the Spartan language. So I'm going to say that West Greek includes Doric proper, Achaean Doric, and Northwest Greek. And we also understand that Aeolic was an early branch off of Northwest Greek. And if Macedonian is in fact an ancient Greek dialect, then it makes sense if it has a lot in common with the Thessalian Aeolic and the Epirus Northwest Greek. One of the most fascinating and perhaps tantalizing pieces of evidence, though, is something called the Pella Curse Tablet. Now, Pella was the ancient capital of Macedonia, and there was discovered a curse tablet, or even a love spell or love charm, something written by someone in a language that was very close to their heart. And when we analyze it, we see that it's in some kind of dialect that is similar to Northwest Greek, West Greek in general, even Doric. But this is just one piece of evidence. Why would this curse tablet tell us that this is definitely the language of Macedonia? Well, if someone was living there and they wrote this curse tablet, this super personal thing, this is most likely the traditional language that is most close to the heart of the person writing it. So if this person was indeed a native of Pella or of Macedonia, then it makes sense that it's indeed representative of the language that was spoken there in the 4th century BC. So did the ancient Macedonians speak a dialect of ancient Greek? Well, the evidence that we've seen, another piece of evidence that we didn't have time to talk about today, generally seem to lead us in that direction. That the claims that were made even by some ancient people that they didn't speak a language that was akin to the other Greek dialects, that was probably mostly politically motivated. The actual testimony we have, scant though it is, suggests that they spoke a language that was indeed similar to Northwest Greek, a dialect of Northwest Greek or something quite similar to it. Indeed, something like the Pella tablet really makes us think, oh yeah, this was definitely part of the Western Greek dialects. This was part of Doric. Insofar as the ancient Macedonian language was difficult for Southern Greeks to understand, well, that could be explained by analogy with French. French and Italian have very similar grammar and vocabulary. In fact, French and Italian have much more in common when it comes to their grammar and vocabulary than Italian and Spanish. However, Spaniards and Italians can understand each other much more easily speaking their native language at each other, more than the French can speaking with either one, despite the similarities that exist, like I mentioned, between Italian and French. So maybe Macedonian was something like this, where obviously, as we can see from the Pella tablet, if this written language is representative of the spoken language in the 4th century BC, we know that French is clearly a Romance language because of its grammar and vocabulary being very much like the other Romance languages, and of course the obvious evidence of history. But it's not obvious to other Romance language speakers that Standard French is actually a part of that same continuum because it does sound so different to them. That could be the situation that we have with Macedonian, where the grammar and vocabulary was part of Northwest Greek, but for whatever reason, their intonation or aspects of their phonology were so different that Southern Greeks just couldn't understand them, even though there is testimony of them being able to communicate fine with other dialects of ancient Greek. It could also be since Macedonia had conquered other people that didn't speak a Greek language, like the Illyrians, for example, that maybe the Macedonians, that meant the greater kingdom of Macedon, and that these speakers of, say, Illyrian were confused for being Macedonian speakers. What do you think? Are there pieces of evidence that I didn't consider here that make you think one way or the other? I'd like to hear from you in the comments.
Wow, you guys, I will respect. I will say a big. I would say I respect this man for even for respecting the countries, giving each country the respect that they actually deserve, not creating misinterpretation. He actually did a very sweet job balancing the whole thing. Okay, and I would just say, like, this is a very informative video. I'm still trying to understand the whole thing, and I feel like I really understand part of it, but not just all. Let me just say the truth, which I'm gonna do more research about this particular video. Okay, but if you know how to summarize it a little for me on the comment section, that would be so great. Okay, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video so that more people that can enlighten us more about this particular issue can watch and drop their own opinion on the comment section. Okay, thank you. Make sure you like this video. I will see you on my next one. Bye.